So in 5.2, we're going to start talking about the money supply, and specifically, we're going to start off talking about the functions of money. So I think for the most part, we're fairly familiar with the main function of money. We use money as a medium of exchange, right? We use money in order to buy stuff. And this is better than the alternative, the barter system, because using money, like paper money as we typically use, as a medium of exchange, we're able to ensure that we get what we want when we want it. Because everybody wants money. But I might walk into a restaurant if we're under the barter system, and it's like, hey, I'll take a plate of chicken tenders, and in exchange, I'll teach you a little bit about econ. And if that person doesn't want to learn a little bit about econ, I'm not going to get any chicken tenders. So instead, money allows us to have this medium that goes as the in-between. And it sort of serves as a middleman in a sense that allows us to be able to use our skills in order to get money, and then be able to use that money on whatever wants or needs we need to satisfy with goods and services. We also, though, use money as a measure of value. It's kind of like this measuring stick. I mean, think about it. If I was to tell you that something is worth $5, you understand what that means. We use money as this measuring stick in order to understand the value. And finally, we also use money as a store of value. Money holds value over time. It maintains what we call purchasing power. I can put money away in the bank today, and guess what? It's still going to work for me to be able to buy stuff in the future. And that's one of the great things about money. Now, in order for money to be good money, like if we were to build a country tomorrow and we needed to implement some sort of money system, what are some characteristics of money that we would see that are important for our money system? Well, first and foremost, portability is probably one of the most important ones. We see that money anymore today when we think about paper money. It's lightweight, it's convenient, it's easy to be transferred, right? And anymore too, money is on like debit cards or in paper bills. It's very light. We can carry it around. I can put it in my wallet, fold it up, put it in my back pocket, and I hardly notice it's there. Money is also incredibly durable. It can hold up over time. If you guys look at maybe some of the coins you have on you, they got years on there that are way older than you are because they can hold up over time. Even so, our paper currency can last for a significant number of years because it's made out of a cotton blend. And some countries are actually starting to move toward like their paper money instead of being almost made of like a plastic because that'll last even longer. Money is also extremely divisible. In the United States, we can get the value of something down to the hundredth of a dollar or a cent. And because we can divide it down so far, we can get to the exact value of something. If the smallest denomination of money we had was, say, like a $20 bill, we couldn't get as precise with how valuable something is. But by getting it down to the cent, we're able to really, divide up our money and extremely say, hey, this is worth this amount of money, and we can be extremely precise. And then finally, scarcity. Money needs to be scarce in a sense because if there's too much money, money's going to lose its value. And so all of this, especially this idea of scarcity, is referring to what we call the money supply. And so the money supply is just how much money there is out there. But we have to be careful because we don't only consider money to be paper money. If we counted like paper money as the only kind of money that existed, I'd have like $22 to my name. But we also have to understand that money is measured or stored in other ways as well. And because of that, we have a couple different money supplies that we measure. The first one that we're going to try to understand is what we call the M1 money supply. The M1 money supply is just any monies that we say are extremely liquid. And liquid just means it's movable, right? So we can access it like almost immediately. And really what we're saying is it's money that can be used as a medium of exchange on demand. So if I was to walk into a store right now and say, here, I want to buy this, how could I purchase that? Well, there's kind of two main ways. Part of the M1 money supply is made up of cash and coin, or just what we call currency. And so right now, there's about $1.9 trillion worth of cash and coin that exists out there in the United States. But even bigger than that, we see parts of the M1 money supply are made up of what we call checkable deposits and demand deposits. And so this is like money that exists within your bank account, right? Like if I was to go swipe my debit card, that works just as well as cash or coin does. Now we have to be careful. This is money that exists like in your bank account. A credit card is not part of the M1 money supply because you're buying something on credit. You're borrowing money. We're talking about actual money, and when you swipe your debit card, money comes out of your bank account. So that's actual money that you're using. Now the M2 money supply is all of those monies that exist in the M1 plus other funds that are not as easily accessible. So we say it's monies that can be used as a medium of exchange plus as a store of value. So we said that everything in the M1 is included there, but then also a number of different categories. And specifically, it's any other ways that we can really save money, specifically savings deposits, small time deposits, and money market funds. And this all adds up to the M2 money supply being valued at about $18 trillion. And again, we don't only store money in like bank accounts like this. Some people store value in assets like their house. They might store their money in their house in the sense that their house holds value and they've invested money into it. Their house itself is not money, nor is there money in the walls or anything like that, but the house itself stores value. And so we see that we want to measure money, whether it's money that's liquid in the M1 money supply or that liquid money plus other ways that we might save our money in the M2 money supply. So our M1 money supply, like we said, it's right around $5.5 trillion. And as you can see in actually recent months, our M1 money supply has increased. And a lot of that has to do with all that money that the government paid out through those stimulus checks toward the start of the pandemic. And that's why that money supply increased so rapidly right then, because all of a sudden, all of this money, trillions of dollars, went into the money supply. And so we can see that same effect from the M1 money supply having an effect on the M2 money supply. Because remember, like we said, M1 is included in the M2. And so we're going to obviously see a similar effect in the M2 money supply.